Hey everybody, I am your host Gabriel Gutierrez. Welcome to the IWCA show. We're so happy to have our friend AJ Bodick here. He is a sales rep for ABC Window Cleaning Supply. I got to meet him at the huge convention just recently. But ABC has had a long relationship with the IWCA show, so we're happy to have you on. But more importantly, AJ, we really want to get to know you. You're playing a big role in with ABC and being able to promote them, but I really appreciate that you are big on education and big on training, and so I do definitely want to touch on that. But I don't know if a lot of people in the IWC are familiar with you, so I would like to spend a little bit of time just to get to know you personally better. What was your entry into the window cleaning industry? How did that evolve into your own company and then eventually to ABC? So first of all, how did you get into window cleaning? Was it something that you thought of and went into, or was it kind of one of those where you kind of just kind of slid into window clean? I know that's the way it was with me. What's your
Yeah.
story?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for having me on and getting to hang out with you for a few days. Being the booth next to each other kind of helped out and
Yeah, it was
getting to
awesome.
know you. But yeah, window cleaning was not on my bucket list growing up. I was always told by my teachers because I always looked out the window during class, and my
Sure.
teacher always said, "You will never make a living. You will never make it in this world by looking out windows." Look at me now. I'm cleaning them. It's a little different, but yeah, I'm making money because of glass, and which was really cool. So, but for me, I joined window cleaning as a just a technician for a company. A mentor of mine, when I was like graduating high school, was like, "Hey, make some really good money. Come work with me on my team." And join the company was called Labor Pains at the time. Shout
Okay.
out to Tyler Kirk,
Okay.
a great guy here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he believed in his crew, and his crew leaders. They basically kind of recruited whoever like what we wanted. Sorry, let me back up. The mentor had free reign to kind of recruit anybody that he saw fit, and he chose me and a few of our buddies. So at one point, it was five of us in our group of friends that were working for this company, and we were just taking it by storm. So Tyler really focused in on residential, high-end residential
Hmm.
cleaning, so pressure washing, window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and from there, kind of just to be honest with you, I didn't fall in love with it right away. I kind of
Hmm.
used it as like a stepping stone job. I had a couple of quote unquote career opportunities. I toured with an AVL company for a while, did some audio and video kind of vibes, got to go on tour with a bunch of different bands, which was really awesome.
Wow.
But working 100 to 120-hour weeks was grinding and feeling like I was going nowhere.
Sure.
And so I kind of pivoted that. So once I quit there, went back to labor pains, and then kind of worked for a couple of churches doing ABL stuff. So in between, I always came back to labor pains. And then once Tyler started franchising the system out, I came back from my opportunity out in Oklahoma City being on staff at a church. And he finally was like, "Can you just stop like moving around and stop quitting on me and just own one of these?" So I was like, "All right." So I just moved back to Charlotte. Where am I moving to now, boss? And he said, "Nowhere. I want you to take over North Charlotte." So that territory is like one of the highest dense residential like markets in the area. And so if I get to hang out on Lake Norman with people that have a lot of money, like why not? That's a great opportunity. And he gave it to me with basically no money down. So it was a he
Wow.
so I basically did a sweat equity loan with him,
Uh-huh.
and from there I took 100 grand of existing work and got it to right around $1 million.
Wow, that is awesome. So when you had that opportunity and you're like, okay, you're gonna be basically given a franchise essentially, obviously, like you said, you worked for it. It wasn't like it was
Yeah.
just handed to you. But did you see that now as like, okay, I think I can make a future out of this, or was this still gonna be kind of a like, well, we'll see how it works out and maybe I'll stick with it and maybe I won't.
Yeah, well, so right around that time that he offered it to me, my wife and I were trying to get pregnant. And
Mm,
so at that point, it was like, I need to find some stability.
yeah.
I need to find something that I can grow into and be able to provide. And from there, like within a year of me starting, we bought a house, we got pregnant, then moved again, and then COVID happened, and then we had a couple of other kids. So like going through it, I fell in love with the ownership opportunity, fell in love with window cleaning. The service-based industry is something that I always enjoyed. Because of the instant gratification of what we do.
Sure.
They see dirty windows before we get there. They
Hmm.
leave with clean windows. They're happy 98% of the time.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah, awesome. So that's yeah, I tell you what, man, kids will do that to you. Same story with me. It was my wife and I for years. We didn't have our first child until we were already 14 years into our marriage. And
wow.
I'd always run my business. And I hate to say it as a side gig, but it kind of was. Really
Hmm.
was my main job. But in Arizona, it's so seasonal. Once the monsoon rains come, we slow down quite a bit, and then we get super busy. Then we slow down, then we get a little busy, and then we slow. It's always up and down.
Hmm.
So you kind of always have to, if you're going to be a single owner operator, you almost have to have something else to do to keep the money coming in when, you're slow with the window. So I always ran it that way. And then as soon as we had our daughter, and then you start realizing, same thing, we bought a home. Now I had a home with a yard to take care of. And then
Hmm.
our daughter, of course, it's expensive having kids. So I kind of had to be like, all right, I got to either do something with this business or I got to go get a real job, right? Somewhere else
Yeah.
that's more stable. And I'm glad I stuck with window cleaning. But yeah, it's nice that was kind of came at the right moment for your family. So it
Yeah.
ended up being a little bit giving you a little stability too during all that change.
Yeah, and obviously, business ownership is not for everyone. It's not the easiest thing. But because of the hard work that I put in, my wife has been a stay-at-home mom the entire time that we've had our kids. And
Mhm.
so, making money by cleaning, I mean, you can't get much better than that. There's so
Yeah,
much more strenuous service-based industries where you're grueling hours, overnights, on call, doing lot more heavy lifting than like lifting a ladder or a water fed pole or a squeegee.
for
Like
sure.
it's
And
my guys complain sometimes, and I'm like, you guys don't realize how easy you got it.
go work with
Like
the landscaper for a couple days and see how you feel, right? Or a roofer.
before I did window cleaning, I did that, and the first week on the job, we moved 10 tons of rock in the first
Wow.
week, and I was basically that guy with the wheelbarrow. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I quit after that week.
Well, I always tell
Um,
people, it's like they're like, "Oh, how can you work in the heat?" And it's true, it is hard. I mean, I'm like not downplaying it at all.
mhm.
But we also oftentimes get to half of the job is going to be inside with air conditioning. You can
Yep.
kind of get a little bit of a break at least.
Yeah,
And then you're also in your vehicle driving to the next job, so you get to cool down a little bit. But yeah, again, not downplaying the heat and the danger of heat stroke if you're not careful.
for
But
sure.
yeah, you're right. Compared to others, we do have it pretty good if we appreciate it for sure.
And when I do my like on-site estimates and stuff, if they're on a body of water or they have a pool, I kind of just say, "Hey, if my guys get hot, do you have an objection with us jumping in or anything like that?" And 9 times out of 10, they're like, "No, please do. Please stay cool." And there's a lot of them because of the homes that we're at. They're very valuable. So a lot of them have like outdoor fridges that they're like, "Hey,
Yeah. Oh
enjoy
yeah.
whatever you want. Just don't touch alcohol until after the job." And I'm like, we won't even touch that. But like the offers, like the amount of times I was given breakfast,
Uh,
lunch, and dinner on an all-day project is just like you don't get that at some other jobs that they're paying you to
yeah.
be there, and yet they're serving you just as much as you're serving them. It's kind of
Yeah.
just kind of really cool.
I feel like, and I'm sure that some people are just like this with every service person who comes in. I know my mom was. I mean, anybody who came to do, whether they were AC, whether they were working on appliance, whether they were carpet cleaning, my mom was like treated them like they were family and made them lunch. And are you this?
Yep.
You want this? Blah blah. Some people are just genuinely like that. But I think with window cleaning, I don't know. I guess because most of us are kind of single owner operators, we do form a relationship with these people. I feel like you do start to kind of feel like part of the family as opposed to maybe a crew who comes in and does a bunch of work. They don't really get to know each individual person. And
Yep.
again, sometimes some people are like that and they do, but the chances of that happen, I feel like increase in the window cleaning industry because it is very much pe people take a lot of care into choosing who it is, and when they find someone they like it's like they stick with them because it's that trust issue, they trust them.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it forms that opportunity to get those bonds, those
Yeah.
friendship
And
bonds.
the relationships that we get, like I remember my business is now almost 10 years. And so I have a lot of customers that I'm like, hey, isn't your daughter like graduating
Yeah.
college now? Like I remember she was like 10th grade and now she's graduating college, like how she's doing. And
Hmm.
they're like, you remember that? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't just come here just to make a living. Like I'm here to like build relationships. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I make money. Thank you for providing that. But at the end of the day, it's the relationships. And like I get texts sometimes because of the my kids being so young. They're like, "Hey, do you need help? Do you need clothes? Like, can we buy you diapers?" I'm like, "What do you do?" Like this isn't supposed
Mhm.
to. This isn't normal between like customers and
Yeah.
clients and businesses. Like, it's just really cool to kind of get those relationships out, and it all starts because they have dirty windows.
It
Like,
does, and I said this a lot during COVID, and I feel it's still the same. We often find ourselves in positions where we're with people at very sensitive times in their life.
mhm,
We're there when a family member is going to pass away, and a bunch of
mhm,
family is going to come. And
yep,
everyone's still dealing with that process of the person being really ill, and they know they're going to lose a loved one soon, or something really happy like a graduation party, and everyone's all excited, and the family's going to come, and you get in there with that feeling, that the vibe that's there. But just the other day, I have a client who I've cleaned for maybe 20 years. I mean, it's been years and years. And I usually come with some other person, but for whatever reason that day we were just busy. I just had to go by myself and do the job. And she is asking me, oh, you're by yourself, what are you gonna do? I said, oh, I used to do work by myself all the time. I'm reassuring her, but we got to talk quite a bit, and she had lost her husband just very recently, which I had known, it was last year that she lost her husband.
mhm,
And because it was just me and her, she just opened up and was just sharing at how sad she was and how difficult it was adapting to not having her husband, how close they were,
mhm,
and how caring he was and how much he took care of her and
mhm.
made sure she had what she needed and she was missing that. And I mean, just all about brought me to tears as we're talking. And she ended up making me food. We sat there, spent some more time talking, and then I just went out and bought her flowers and came back and gave it to her because I just
Wow.
it's like, again, she opened up to me. She didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
She trusted me enough to feel like she could share that. So it's I don't know. I feel like that's something that being a window cleaner in our industry, you have to see your role in that, and
Yep.
even if it's in a small way, and appreciate that we have that opportunity to touch people in certain
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, that's a really touching story, and I'm glad that you kind of had that softened heart to be able to listen. Like, not everybody in this industry might have that same mentality. Like, we all have our story of why we're in here,
Yeah,
and to be honest, there's a lot of us that started because we were down to a few bucks.
that's
Like, you
it.
can buy a $25 squeegee set from Lowe's or Home Depot and say that you're a professional window cleaner, and then they start making millions of bucks doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for
so it's
sure.
kind of really cool because of where some of our mentalities are at. Like sometimes you got to make 400 bucks that day, or you're not making rent.
That's it.
And
That's it,
so
man. I've been there.
and
I remember one time
yep.
distinctly, single owner operator. Our mortgage, right? It was a mobile home on an acre. It was 325 bucks a month, right? This is back
Okay.
in 2000. But for us, that was that's a big chunk. We don't didn't
Yep.
have that. And I literally was like, I don't know how we're going to make our mortgage this month. We don't have any money. And then Wednesday, I get a call. It's a big community just kind of south of Tucson, and it's a town called Sahuarita. They had just built this big old clubhouse, and they needed it clean for the grand opening that weekend. I went there the
Wow.
next day, made 325 bucks, exactly what we needed for the mortgage. They wrote the check Friday. And got our mortgage paid. So, I mean, man, when you have that happen, to be a part of that industry, I just feel like you have to show appreciation for that. And that's
Yep.
why I'm on the IWCA. I mean, that's the whole reason I joined the board. It's just meant to give back as being thankful for that, that
Yeah.
the industry has helped me in that way.
Yeah.
Now you've kind of had an interesting past. So like you said, you went, worked with a friend. he ended up franchising the company. You got that franchise and you grew it. Could you talk a little bit about some of the things you did to grow that? Because I imagine you didn't have like a business background, right? This are things that you learned and that you applied. So could you share a little bit about that? Because I know a lot of window cleaners who watch the show are
Yeah.
trying to scale now and could probably use some advice.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit of background for me. I did most of a semester, never finished a semester of college, and just fell in love with work. I just always loved doing stuff with my hands. So I had no business education, no finance, no marketing, nothing. I just knew that I knew how to clean a window and knew how to love on people. And from there, I grunted my way through it. Obviously, failed a lot. Failed on hiring the right people, or like I hired the wrong people, then hired the right people, and then they left because I didn't have the right systems in place. And so from there, I really took a few years to kind of improve my efficiencies,
Mhm.
where like I felt like I had to be Superman every day,
Right.
having to fix all the problems and all of that. Whether it was a problem with the customer, problem with the equipment, problem with the truck. But once I was able to kind of redo some of the efficiencies, I was able to kind of take a step back and let my team lead. And so one of the things that I did was first let me scroll down to it. I invested in my team. And so I created a better culture of honor, care, and responsibility, where instead of me having to feel like I have to be Superman, they have like I'm caring and honoring them to allow them to make some decisions,
Mhm.
so that they feel like they have some sort of control over their day.
Right.
So employees, they get frustrated when they feel like they have lack of control over their day.
Yes.
So for them, instead of doing hourly rate, for me, it worked really well. I'm doing like a day rate and a commission bonus
Mm.
structure that
Interesting.
completely like revolutionized the day. Instead of them just dragging their feet to get their 8 hours, they're like, I can make the same amount of money at 2 o'clock if I got done then at 5. Cool. What do I need to do? So like I created a culture and a pay structure that honored them above and beyond. Yes, it put more work on me on the back end, to kind of figure out what their commission was. But to me, it was a lot easier to pay them more money because they were getting done earlier. We could add more revenue per day, more customers per day, because every job it comes with a dollar, and every dollar is a story, and every like story it's just all comes together. And then I created some incentives to allow them to be my biggest marketer. Like I can spend money on Google Ads all day, on flyers, on door hangers, but at the end of the day, if our team doesn't do well, they're the face of my company.
Mhm.
They're the make or break. So the customer's first impression is so vital. And if they don't do a good job, they're never going to use us again and never going to do referrals or reviews or nothing. And so I created incentives where it just honored them by just them doing a good job and loving on people. From there, like it increased our daily production from this was like 5 years ago. We went from like 800 to $1,000 per crew, which was two people. We were able to jump that up to $1,400 on average.
Wow.
So massive daily production. And I didn't really have to pay that much more in a percentage. So that was one year where I was just investing in the team. The next year, I decided, hey, let's invest in the equipment to be even more efficient. Now that we have this extra cash flow coming in, what if we invested in two brand new skids for our pressure washers instead of like getting a 4 gallon and hopefully it works and this and that? We went to massive skids where we had buffer tanks, and we went from going from XJet to downstreaming. That was a big thing for me, but I also massively invested in water fed technology. So we were able to go from cleaning by hand to doing the water fed. And so we went from going around $75 an hour of production per team member
Mhm.
to now we were doing about $200 to $300 per hour
Wow.
per technician.
Okay, so oops, sorry, I didn't hit my own microphone here. So I have a few questions for you. So the first
Yeah.
one regards that. So what does that look like? You say you have a day rate. So
Yep.
What is that? How do you figure out what the day rate is, and then what incentives do they have to get beyond that? Because with commission, if you don't mind get into a little more detail on that.
Oh yeah. So on average for me, I pay roughly between 20 and 30% of every dollar goes to labor.
Hmm.
And so I decided to try and take an average. So 25% is what I would like to hit. So for a team, if I want them, if I'm budgeting out 25%, I'd say, hey, I need you to complete X amount of dollars per day so that you can earn what you feel like you want to make, $20 an hour or whatever. So say $200 an hour is what I want. They want to, or $200 a day is what they want to make. So if I do an 8 hour workday, they need to do about 1,600 bucks or so.
Okay.
Or sorry, team of two. So my whole thing is I always ran trucks with two people.
Yes.
So $200 if one person is $800, two is $1,600. I want $1,600 of production per day so that they can earn the $200. And so for them, I gave, hey, you need to do $1,600. Every dollar above and beyond that, you get that same percentage as a bonus.
Okay.
And so obviously it's on me as a salesperson to get them up to $1,600. I'm not asking them to sell. I'm not asking them to go door to door, none of that. So it's my responsibility. So I gave them a little leeway. As long as it's within a couple $100 of that 1,600, I'm going to give them that money. And then every dollar above and beyond that, they're still making that same percentage where they feel honored and blessed. So if they complete their day by 2 o'clock and they want more money, they want to make more money at another job, every dollar above and beyond that, they get that commission.
Nice. Okay, so what do you do then if you got a team of two? What do
Mhm.
you do with one person pulling more of the weight than the other? How do you keep that from being an issue? And then would do you guys split that commission down the middle for the two people, or do you have like a lead and a helper, and the lead gets a little bit higher of that percentage?
It really comes down to the techs and the teams. Most of the time, I'd say about 90%, they split the commission. Because of just the way that we operate. We know that the crew leader is going to be taking a brunt of the communication with the customer. They're probably doing the majority of the hard work. We're getting out the 32-foot ladder, climbing the roofs, doing the heavy lifting of the job. But while they're communicating to the client, that other guy still needs to be working. So normally it's a split.
Okay.
But there are instances where we have like a guy that's going through training, not pulling his weight as much as he can. I leave that to the crew leader to communicate to me and say, hey, I need to know, do they need a less of a split? Did you do 70% of the job and they don't deserve the split 50-50? Sometimes they say yes based on like the circumstances, but a lot of the times they're like, hey, we're in this together. We're a team, so let's like split that load. So knowing that the guy that's not pulling his weight is making that extra money, it's we still have weekly conversations with the team of, hey, everyone needs to pull their weight. And it's a culture of like honor towards each other because not every day you're going to be at 100%. There might be a day you're like not feeling well, you had a great weekend partying and you're at 30%, and that guy that you've been pulling all of his weight for the last couple of weeks has to pull your weight for the day. So it's kind of a give and take.
Yeah. And so that goes to my second question. So it's about the culture.
Mhm.
How do you build that culture? What has been your philosophy or strategy to keep that teamwork? Because I know with my company, we have on the front Team GSWC, right? Gabe Spotless Window Cleaning. And we work
Mhm.
hard to build that team concept of, hey, just because your route's done doesn't mean that your day's done. You have teammates out here who maybe got a job that ended up being way harder than before. You need to go help that, right? And for the most part, that's been successful, but every so often we'll get someone who just is not a team player and just really feels like once they've done their amount of work, they kind of fight that idea of trying to help others because they're thinking, oh, well, these guys are too slow. How come they're taking so long? I got my work done. Why do I got to go? And so what is your strategy then to keep that culture of teamwork alive and real to your employees?
Yeah, it really comes down to like for me, I started building that on the tools with the team members. So when I was just a young buck, we had maybe two trucks, maybe three. None of us were allowed to go home until every truck was either about to finish or we got the go ahead from the crew leader saying, "Hey, I'm good. I don't need your help. Yes, I'm going to work a little late tonight, but I'm okay with that," kind of vibe. But it came down to the incentives. So if a crew went and helped that other team, obviously some part of that job would go to that other team member, that other team that came and helped. But it once we did it for like 6 months to a year, the guys stopped asking for a little bit of that extra pay for going to help because there are times there's that give and take. That team one may have had a bad day that day, but next week team two had that same situation where they both helped each other out. So it's like a give and take. We know that we got each other's back at the end of the day. So at first, it came with an incentive because I had guys that were frustrated of like, I've been doing this for a long time. Why do I have
Yeah.
to help somebody that's inadequate at the job? And it really came down to kind of creating that, well, you had to start somewhere as well. You may have been here for 2 years and have got really good skills now. This guy's 6 months in, this crew leader 6 months in. Yes, he's not pulling his weight as much as you are in production, but that doesn't mean that you should not help each other out when we need each other. So it came down to the culture of honor,
Mhm.
because we all know that we're going to have that day that sucks, and if we can't call to get that extra help, it's a bad day.
Yeah. Okay, so you use the word honor. So how does that get into the system of the company? Honor's kind of a what's the word? Uh it's a word that means different things to different people, right? So how do you define what honor is in a window cleaning company, and then how do you enforce that, or how do you keep people accountable to showing that honor to the company, but more importantly, of course, their coworkers?
Yeah. A lot of the philosophies of like labor pains and everything came down to the vision, and there were seven key statements that Tyler kind of instilled in us. One of those is I do more than expected. So the way that we can honor our customer is we try and do one thing above and beyond that they didn't pay for that may take 5 or 10 extra minutes. So like for me, cleaning an interior foyer window, before I used a trad pole and like a flick combo, I always had my extent or my A-frame ladder out. When I have my A-frame out, there's typically a chandelier that's right there. So I always flick that on and see if there's any bulbs that are out.
Mm,
And I always ask them, "Hey, I see a couple bulbs out. Do you have some spares? I can swap them out for you free of charge." It literally took me 2 minutes to do that, but it went a long way for the customer. It's the same thing for us as a team. So the way that we built our structure is, hey, I'm giving you some of that flexibility, that leeway, so that you feel honored and appreciated. So some of the stuff that I gave some leeway on to certain crew leaders was, hey, do you want to adjust your schedule? You tell me if you want to kind of swap around some jobs so that you have, instead of starting with like an easy job at the start of the day, you can put that at the end, so that you can maybe like you may want to do a gutter job first thing in the morning before it gets super hot. That's totally your call. I did it based on what I feel like is best for drive time, but you want to do something a little different. So that honor for them to feel that they have a little bit of control over their schedule really went a long way. And so every deposit that I was able to make in them of like honor,
mhm,
there was there's always a withdrawal. There's that situation where I screwed up, didn't schedule a job, and now I'm backed into a corner and I have to get it done. So because of the amount of time that I have honored them is always exceeding the withdrawals. So when I ask them, "Hey man, I know you've crushed it today. I'm going to go out there and we got to get this job done. Do you have any issues with that?" 9 times out of 10, they would say, "Yes, yes, boss, I got you back." So like being able to have that sense of honor to them allowed me to be able to make those deposits. And when I had to make a withdrawal because of a situation, it didn't feel strenuous where it was a fighting back and forth of
Yeah.
like, come on, man, it's only going to take an hour. I'll make sure you get paid. Like, I don't even have to have that conversation. They know that I'm going to take care of them financially because of the systems in place and how I've handled situations in the past.
And that's it. I feel like if you can show them that you value them, whether it's a material compensation or a respect compensation, or like you say, respecting their time, or like what I always like to do is try to find what their passion is. If they have
Hmm.
some type of hobby or they have some project they're working on or they have some long-term goal, if I can find that out, then a lot of times I can use things that help them work towards that goal as an incentive.
Yep.
Hey, you want that project that you're going to finish up and you need 3 days off in the week? I'll give that to you. I'll give it to you, paid or whatever.
Yep.
That'll be your reward for hitting these goals or whatever. Now it's not just a monetary incentive, which is always nice, but now it's an incentive towards something that's very important to them. That's part of their heart, or something that they've been working for towards a long time. So that type of incentive, oftentimes, it just really goes deeper than just a monetary, because anybody can give monetary compensation. But when you can tell them, hey, I care about you enough to know what's important to you, and I want to help you achieve that important thing. I think that sends a much more important message, as an employer to an employee, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are times that some of the incentives that I gave them, we're in NASCAR country in Charlotte, so a lot of guys wanted to go to the NASCAR race. So I'd give them VIP pit passes based
beautiful.
on so instead of a monetary bonus, they're like, just give me the best experience possible for the NASCAR race. Done. Some of the times they just wanted a PS5. Cool. I got your back, man. I need you to hit these goals over the next 3 months. You got a PS5 waiting for you. Cash incentives like getting a Google review, $10 on the spot, done at the end of every week. Like cash on hand, like stuff like that goes so far,
Yeah.
and they feel respected and honored in that way. So
For sure. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I think that's a
yeah.
really neat viewpoint for from a business owner's point of view. I did want to transition to that. So you still have that franchise, right? And you were mentioning that but you kind of don't spend a whole as much time as you used to in the company. So now,
Mhm.
you've been is your title sales rep, or is it a different title? It's for ABC,
So with ABC, my title is sales executive.
sales executive.
Hazen
Okay.
kind of calls me the big dog,
The big
whatever.
duck.
Like, just get out there. The goal, what I was told, go make relationships, go find up and coming window cleaning companies that just need support, need training, need education, and that's my whole goal every single day.
Nice. And that's what I wanted to talk about, because one of the things I really appreciate, I've known Hazen for a few years now. Super nice guy, and he's one of those people that every time you see him, you feel better after they leave, because he just
Hmm.
builds you up and it makes you feel good. But he has worked over the years in developing this water-fed course, and I always tell him, this is like a college level course on water-fed window cleaning, because it's not just technique, and you can find a lot of videos like that online, and so people showing you how they do water-fed and what kind of brushes they like, and all that stuff. But his class, and now you've had a role, you're learning that class, and you're gonna be teaching it soon too, aren't you? Or have you already done that? Have you already had a chance to teach the class?
I'm working on my script,
Okay,
so
you're working on script. Okay, good. But it
yep.
is just, it breaks down. I don't think I ever understood how water-fed works until I took his class. And even then, every time I take his, I've taken it several times. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. I got to remember that. But
Yep.
just, because you hear people say RODI. Well, what does that really mean? Oh, it's reverse osmosis. Okay, well, what does that really mean? And why
Hmm.
is that important in pure water cleaning? And because,
Yep.
I mean, I'm not a water technician, I just know that's what you need to get in order to get the numbers between 0 to 10, right? But
Yep.
everything that's involved with that is just really super informative and necessary class for people who want to be considered professionals in the field, I believe, just to understand Now, even though we may not be a scientist or we may not be anything like that, but we are taking in information that helps to explain why what we do works, you know?
Yep.
And if you can understand it and inform your clients, I think that's all part of the education for people who might be a little skeptical about using water fed, you know,
Yep.
especially if it's high windows and it's at their house and they're a little nervous and how is this going to work? You're telling me there's not going to be any soap. You're not using a squeegee. What is going on? And to show that you have a level of understanding of the process, I think helps a lot to win over the confidence of the customers. So,
Yep.
tell us a little bit about the goals of that class, because I know it's not just done at the IWCA convention; it's done all over the country. And share what you do and what the goals for the class is in the future.
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. It's all about education. So I've been an end user of water-fed technology for almost like 15 years or so. So being somebody that has used it and had to sell services based on the technology, I learned how to sell it because of the wash and learn. That's what we call it. It's called the wash and learn. And so going through the actual science, because I'm a nerd at heart, I love to learn. So once I understood the why, I was able to explain the how and how it helped from a safety perspective for us as a company, why we use it, but also how it actually cleans. And it's essentially a better clean than just cleaning with a squeegee. Obviously, this is a controversial topic. Our water-fed window cleaners, real window cleaners? And in reality, we are, but we also clean the frame of the windows at the same time as well. So you're not just cleaning glass. So it's just a little bit of both from there. So just being able to have that reassurance that yes, you were cleaning with just filtered water, it's going to dry spot free. If not, I'm coming back and touching it up. I got your back to the client. So what we want this to be used for, like we work with some of the biggest franchise systems in the country, and we want every new franchisee that comes in that doesn't know a lick about window cleaning to come out of that course feeling like they're an expert. Yes, it does take some time of hands-on on the tools to fully understand it, but being able to have that confidence going to your first job, not knowing anything about it, that's a big deal. And so we just want to equip people with education and knowledge about it so that once they get on the tools, they feel confident.
Yeah. And I think it's important to point out as well, the class talks a lot about the safety of it as well.
Mhm.
And that's really big in our industry right now. That's all the discussion. Several podcasts recently have touched on the safety aspect. And thankfully, more and more experts like Michael Draper and Jeffrey Scott and we have several who are have schools that teach, water fed safety on solar panels as well as
Yep.
on buildings. All of that is really important. And could you share a little bit about the goal or the seriousness I feel? Because I definitely get that when I talk with Hazen about how ABC feels that when someone buys their poles, they want them to use their poles in a safe way.
100%. So safety, like you said, it's all over social media right now. It's all over the forums, and specifically when it comes to near electrical lines and whatnot. First and foremost, be safe. Do not do anything that puts you potentially in harm's way. And so some of the wash and learn, we do have what we call a radius for the pole. So if you have a 30-foot pole fully extended, you should be able to drop that pole and still be with at least 10 feet away from any potential danger when it comes to electrical lines. So you got to have that radius because if somebody pulls that pole tubing and yanks that pole out of your hand, you do not want to be anywhere near that if you're near electrical lines. So
Or a gust of
for
wind, that
wind,
hits and
yep.
yeah.
I remember using a pole at 75 feet and I was scared and I didn't want that to fall on anyone. A car. Luckily, I wasn't near any electrical lines, so I didn't really have to worry about it. But like, I made sure that there were cones up, there were A-frame signs out, like, stay away, I'm cleaning, and I do not want to hurt you, just in case.
Yeah.
So safety is first and foremost. We want to we inspect every pole before it goes out for any potential cracks and damages, so that as you're extending it, it's not like cracking or breaking apart. We have a very strenuous system for our team members before we send a single product out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you mentioned the radius and you said, make sure that wherever it goes, it's never within 10 feet. And that's kind of a standard, but you can even make that even longer, to be safe.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, and especially I think it's important because so many young people are coming into the industry. They're buying a system. They got their water fed unit, they got their pole, but they're not taking any safety courses. They have no experience as far as the business other than, hey, I can now use this pole to clean a window. I'm going to go make some money, and start my own business. But if you're within that 10 feet and I mean, there's a possibility for arcing. So
Yep.
you don't even have to touch the lines. If they're close enough, it can arc, and then you can get a very serious electrical shock, or even get electrocuted and lose your life.
Yeah.
So that is very, something that we have to be alert to. And a lot of manufacturers are trying to improve in making awareness of the safety. But I feel ABC with the Wash and Learn has done a really great job of making sure that that is instilled in the people who
Yeah.
buy their equipment for sure. So it's really good.
Yeah, and just to clarify, say you have a 30-foot pole, you need to be at least 30 feet away plus
Plus the
the
10.
additional 10 plus feet away. So like
Yeah.
you do not want to be anywhere near that. So just making sure you want that extra distance as far as possible. At the end of the day, we're cleaning windows. You
Yeah.
should not be losing your life by trying something a little unsafe. Don't
Mhm.
do it. It's not worth your time. It's not
Oh,
worth like the grievance on any of that. So your life is more important than a clean window. I promise you, customers will get over it.
yeah. And we had the keynote address last year at the IWC convention with John and Jason Knight. Jason, the son was electrocuted but with the pole. And same thing, it arced. It would never touch the line. But it was close enough that it arced.
Yep.
But they have a saying, and they made a little logo. It says, "Look up, look out," right?
Yep.
So just that's your first step. Anytime you're going to go to a building where you plan to use a water fed, that should be your first step. Look up, look around. Is there any poles that could come into some issue, right?
Yep.
And after that, there was several. There was one solar panel job that we had been doing for about 3 or 4 years, and I was like, how have I allowed me and my employees to do this job? Because there were power lines all around the house.
Mm,
I just never noticed it. I just never because you don't you're doing solar panel. It's on the ground. Or I should say it's facing down on the roof, and so you're not thinking of it as lifting it up and getting close to the power. You're just seeing the
yeah.
area that you're working. But that's where that radius comes in because things can change, and if that pole goes in an area that you haven't thought about, that's where you get in danger. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yep, and we want to continue to help provide educational pieces for the IWCA, so that people that come in they leave safer. Honestly,
yeah.
going to a job site being safer is first and foremost the most important thing every single day.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, ABC has had a relationship with the IWC for a while. We've really appreciated the sponsorships that they've had. Have you had a chance to go to the IWC convention with ABC window cleaning yet, or just
Not
just the
not with
keynotes?
ABC. I did
Yeah.
one time as an attendee a few
Okay,
years
gotcha.
back. But now I'm really excited for the 2026 IWCA in Orlando.
Yeah.
Love going down to Orlando's. Always make an extra trip to go to Disney. My wife and I we went to Disney for our honeymoon
Oh,
when
exciting.
we
Yeah,
got married years back. So yeah, so it's important for ABC to be at IWCA every year.
it is.
We get a chance to have face-to-face conversations with our customers. Some of whom we've worked for many, many years. I'm that list of customers that we've had for 10 plus years. I'm learning their names and trying to get those relationships and just meet them as many as I can. So, and then it's important for us to be at IWCA to educate and train the
Yes.
attendees. That's just the most important thing why we're there. Yes, we're a warehouse full of product that we sell and distribute, but if we don't educate and don't like people don't understand how to use it and why to use it,
That's right.
there's no reason for us to be in business if we can't do that.
And that's always the sign of a good vendor. I
Mhm.
appreciated having my booth next to yours because I could overhear some of the conversations that you and Hazen were having. And like you say, it's one thing to sell a piece of equipment, but if you want them coming back over and over and over again, you sell them the right piece of equipment for their situation. And when that equipment makes them some money, then they know who to come back for. So ABC definitely fills that role of
Yep.
being educators as well as equipment providers and sellers. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. But yeah, man, I look forward to getting to spend some more time with you at the Elevate convention. That's going to be the
Yeah.
big convention with IWC and PWNA. A lot more pressure washers are starting to do windows and vice versa. So it's really a no-brainer. And I know you'll be able to sell some equipment to some pressure washing companies that are
Yep.
just starting to branch into that and need that education about how exactly to use the equipment and what equipment they need. So
Yeah,
be right at
huge. I
home.
was able to talk to a client that has primarily been pressure washing for many, many years, and at Huge, they won a $270,000 window cleaning
No
only job,
way.
and so
Awesome.
he came to my booth and was like, "I
I
know
need I
nothing.
need help.
I know nothing. It's glass, and I know it's dirty. How do
Yeah.
I do it?" And so we were able to cultivate a full package for him. He's gonna like we were able to kind of go from, hey, if you're just going to go with one truck to four trucks, what does that like look like
Yes.
for this specific project? And that honestly, they've sold an extra $100,000 worth of window cleaning again,
Wow.
just because of this one project. They're like, all right, there's money in it. Now let's figure out how to do it on a
Yeah.
large scale. And that's why people use ABC, is because of our 2 day shipping
Mhm.
is very important. Our bulk discounts, those kind of things that really honor those companies that want to buy well and kind of buy in bulk. And so that's where our biggest value is the 2 day shipping, the biggest bulk discounts that you can get, and our inventory is always in stock. I have yet to see something that people use on a regular basis back ordered.
Wow.
Other than special order stuff, that's very like from Unger and stuff like that we special order. Outside of that, we've always had it in stock every single time.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. IWCA appreciates ABC and me personally. I just
Yeah.
appreciate the customer service. Everyone I speak with at ABC has just been so friendly and
Yep.
helpful and kind. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. But thanks so much for spending some time with us, AJ. We appreciate you coming
Yeah.
to the IWCA show, sharing your story. And I think you gave some really good advice for businesses who are looking to expand but are worried about losing that control of the quality and the customer service that comes when you're a smaller company. You get a
Yep.
little nervous about growing, and people are definitely going to use that. So, anything you want to share before we close up shop here?
No, we really hit it right on the nail, and again, I appreciate it. IWCA is somebody I'm really looking forward to building relationships, and honestly, I need to start meeting the rest of the board because you guys are out there. You guys are your hands and feet are on the ground with your businesses, but also trying to figure out what's next. So we want to innovate here at ABC. We want to hear how we can be better, what new products are out there so that we could support you guys and make it a on our product list at a great price. So like we're here for education and products. Whatever you guys hear about, we want to know about it.
Wonderful. Well, you could grab anybody on the board. Everyone is so friendly and all, from all different walks of life. Some have these huge, giant companies that work all over the country, and some of us are still single owner operators, or at least have just a couple employees. So I love our board that we have right now. It's really kind of a broad a stroke of what the industry looks like right now. So that helps us to really try to meet the needs of window cleaners, no matter what stage they might be in their business growth or maturity. So it's a fun thing to be in. But thanks again for joining us. But we'll see you
Yeah.
at the Elevate. Thank you
Yeah.
all for listening. We appreciate your continued support. If you're not an IWCA member, please consider joining. It's the organization that will help you to better your business, to be more professional, and of course, more importantly, to be the safest that you can be. So thanks so much for listening, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time.